Okay, so then the topics for tonight are the switchboard, the
Yeah.
router, the testing framework, the modifications I've made to the UI,
Hmm.
the implications of the switchboard changes we talked about, and the corporate structure that, yeah, that's
Okay.
on my side.
Right.
And your side,
And
that's
on my side, as I said, I had a family Sunday yesterday, so
how
I've got
do you?
nothing.
How do you?
Yeah.
Okay, so number one, switchboard. This is the new switchboard. How do I do it?
Is that the forward slash prompted one, or have you done something in the
This is
background?
the forward slash prompty one,
Yeah.
and I like it, and I haven't
Okay.
liked it before, and I can now use our platform for me, which is good.
Okay.
I
All
like
right.
that. I was feeling disenfranchised that I would work and I could not take part in the thing. So the new button is this button down here, which shows you the currently configured agent, because the agent is sticky and it is configured in code, not in context. So it's actually
Okay.
written to disk. I will show you where, possibly, maybe.
What do you mean by written to disk? What
It's written
do
to
you mean by
disk in. Ooh, you're gonna just piss me off. I'm gonna spend some time making the UI actually work instead of just goofing off all the time. So if I go into threads
that? Yeah.
and I read this thing,
Yeah.
you'll see that in the current this object represents the current thread, which holds all the messages and other ancillary data. I added this
Mm-hmm.
field that stores the currently targeted agent, and so
Mm-hmm.
if you don't engage in any switching behavior, this is the agent that the messages will just go straight to.
Right. Is that one and only one, or is there some kind of
There's only ever
nesting?
one. There's only ever
Right. So
one.
that's overwritten. That particular file is overwritten
Yeah,
every time
yeah.
you
So if you
call
watch what
something
I
else.
do, if I type in forward slash o1.m, oh, without yelling, shh, forward slash o1.md,
Mm-hmm.
then you should see a message turn up here. So we go into the router,
Mm-hmm.
switch triggers, and now you see that we're
Code
configured to
01.
use o1.
Yeah.
So
And
under
that file is now updated with your thread, which you're still in the same thread,
the
but it's now
agent's
on
been
O1.
updated to o1. There's been two messages have occurred. The first message came from me, the user, which was forward slash o1.md.
Mm-hmm.
Then the router responded, and the router responded with its tool call to say that it wanted to switch to to o1. And then
Yeah.
there's this other message, sorry, the third message, which is the end of the tool call, so that there isn't an objection from OpenAI the next time I call them. Like I
Mm-hmm.
have to close out the tool call, or else the API will spit at me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I added in some extra parameters just for your personal amusement. Swallow prompt means
Mm-hmm.
that you'll notice that I said o1, the router decided that there was nothing more to be said, and so it went silent. So
Yeah. Okay.
instead of calling o1, it decided that switching was all that was required, and then it just goes silent and waits for the next prompt.
Right. And by swallow prompt, does that mean that if I were to say what was the agent that I called in my last prompt, it wouldn't know.
Yeah, no, it would know. All that happened is that in the previous switchboard, when it switched to an agent, it would immediately run the agent on the thread. But here,
Ah,
it's
right. So it's
recognized that
just
there's no reason to run the agent at all, because this message was meant for the router.
yeah.
And so there's no point to call o1, and because all you'd call o1 with is forward slash o1.md, and you're like, what do you really expect O1 to do about that. You know, what you really want is for O1 to now be ready, and so the next thing I say will go to O1.
Okay, a nuance on that one. This is how a platform usually works. You put in your system prompt,
Yeah.
and then usually what I had to do is put in a hi, and then hi, ran it for the first time, and inside the prompt it was saying, "Hello, I am your Rogan Josh
Right.
agent for today."
Right.
And it's like, well, I shouldn't have to say hi. You should be introducing yourself. But that's a small thing.
Well, I wanted it that otherwise what happens is O1 will say something, and then that will influence the next message that I say. Whereas I want to start the conversation.
It's a bit like you remember. Again, this is not at all core, but remember we were talking about the widgets that appear. There's 4 things you can do based on the agent that you're talking to. That means that the agent is run at least once in order to generate those, because the agent knows what it starts off with. It's like, at the start, introduce yourself and ask whether you want to have lamb or beef. So there is that first cycle is actually quite helpful, because otherwise it potentially looks like it's filled silent, except for the wee lozenge. But it's quite useful.
Do you actually want it? You want it to intro itself?
Yeah, and just do it. You know, it's like
Look, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to do that. And the thing is, like, we just this navigation area is pissing me the fuck off. Like, it is taking so much time to get substandard results that I'm like, fuck this whole thing. Like, this is just, it's irritating that it's such a hard fiddly concept.
I say I'm not going to say anything more about it, but I will again in 6 months' time.
Yeah, let's just let's just get some more of the rest of the system down, and then we can modify via tests how the navigation system works.
Yeah.
So you get your reasoning here, and there is an optional parameter that sometimes gets called, that I allowed for, called rewritten prompt. And rewritten prompt is if I go / how2.md, hey, I'm thinking about making a weather app. So I'll show you what the purpose of rewrite was. So it recognized that, yeah, this was a switching event. Rewritten prompt was, I'm thinking about making a weather app. So it stripped off the / how2.md and then sanitized my input.
That's a nice thing to do. That's a very polite thing to do. That's good.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. I'm not sure how to use that, but that it became easy for me to insert it at the time, and so I put it there, and I figured I'd talk to you about it, make you aware of it, and then you can do what you like with it from there.
Not sure what to do with it straight off the cuff, but it seems a good thing to do.
Right. Yeah, because I noticed that, like, even if I pass in the / how2.md part of the text, none of the bots seem to care in any noticeable way.
Right, but it's also reasoning about what you're asking for, which will handle some really quite egregious typos.
Yeah, but then, like, the bot itself will also handle that too, so I'm not, I'm not entirely sure. But it's there. It doesn't hurt anything to put it there, I figured, so, yeah.
If it's easy, or was easy, then yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
I don't see any downsides to that. Can't think of any major problems it's solving, but it's just like, if it's easy, why not?
Yeah. Features, right. So, hang on. I don't know, I was just checking. Just checking. Right. So, that's that. The second part that I wanted to show you. Oh, were there any further questions about that so far?
Not so far.
No.
No,
Okay.
looks right.
The pill is clickable. When you click it, you get taken to the file in GitHub that made up the agent.
Okay.
I,
Yep.
I don't know. That seems a bit lame because I should really be making it pop up in the file explorer.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, that's fine. Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to show you was when I go, hey, / if you don't put the / in, and this is the hard coded part I need to make you aware of. If I don't put the / in, then anything I do will go to the configured bot. There will be no router. / calls the router.
What's the configured bot?
What bot?
The as in the one you're talking to at the moment.
The configured bot is this one, the sticky bot, the current agent.
Right. Okay. So,
So
at this point, if I were to say, see if I want to switch tasks, I know I've got an agent somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like, give me a list of agents I have available. How would that handle that?
Like that.
Yeah.
That will go straight to HAL2 without going through the router at all, and HAL2 will have to handle it.
How's Hal going to know who to
Or
ask?
I don't know, probably not. But this is the thing I wanted to talk to you about. In that, first of all, I'm just gonna, for demonstration's sake, I'm gonna switch over to switchboard.
Yeah.
Now, what is possible to do now is that in switchboard, you'll see that in config, it has this command agent switch, which is exactly the same as the command given to router.
Yeah.
Agent switch. And so what that means is that switchboard can switch to anything. So if I said to switchboard, give me a list of agents I have available,
then you get this.
Then you'll get the list. But the important thing I want to show you is that it might warrant giving, for example, files, the files agent, which is always fairly critical to have on hand, giving it the power to call agent switch, so that when it knows that it got a request that it can't handle, it calls switch to go back to the switchboard or back to the PA. And that's the reverse routing or the reverse switching of the agents, where they recognize that they've been given a thing that's outside their purview, so they lob it back. Instead of switchboard intercepting everything and deciding if they're going to be given the opportunity to work on the task.
The report by exception.
Yeah, right. It's them that decides. And so that would make them switchboard aware.
So that could be really quite useful. So that's like a universal thing for every bot.
Well, every bot that is going to be capable of being spoken to by the person, because not every bot is like that.
So not drones, but yeah.
Right.
Anything you can chat to, if it goes, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
It should be able to dunk you out. Now, I want to show you what happens. So, switchboard, if I say, okay, let me talk to 4.0 mini. This functionality, there's now no reason why because switchboard is acting as any other agent. There's nothing special about this agent under the hood, right? So I've been now switched to 4.0 mini by switchboard that was running as an unprivileged agent. Nothing special whatsoever. That means that you can turn any agent into that same power to do switching at whim.
Okay, so we could have, because I'm very keen on starting to break up hammer into sub,
Yes,
hierarchy.
components.
So hammer itself should
Might
know
be the
about
switchboard.
agents.
It
Yes,
might be the hammer
switchboard.
switchboard.
Yeah, but only for those agents that
Yeah, very narrow.
does hammer and switchboard when I don't have one. So I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's
And then
right.
you go back up.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that critical passing back is the key to making a system that feels good to use.
Now I'm just gonna drill down this bit because last time we talked, you were saying why restrict. If you're inside the hammer, why restrict the agents to just the hammer agents?
I was saying that, and I retract that because I realized that when I was the way that we'd been using hammer now is different to how we should be using hammer. Hammer should be a remote thread, and when you're in a remote thread, you escape from the remote thread by pressing escape and going back to your home thread. And so being in a remote thread and being trapped there and subject to the rules of its switchboard is perfectly reasonable. And
can you take me through a narrative? Because we've got hammer and it does hammery things.
Hammery things, yeah. We absolutely have to figure out how to get the skeleton of hammer interaction going through the navigator.
Right. So
it works a little bit like this.
Yeah.
So this is going to load a remote thread where that remote thread I want to use as a talking point to try and gesture at what hammer should look like. So this should say something like remote thread hammer.
How did you get there? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
I got there by sleight of hand. I simply clicked on this thing, to open, and now what I'm doing is I'm opening this thread remotely.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Right, and so you'll recognize our earlier conversations. Hey, I'm thinking about making a whether at. But what it is I can press escape, and now I'm in my home thread.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, what it should be is I'm in my home thread. I'm like organizing the cooking. I'm shopping for gifts. I'm asking how to make Molotov cocktails. I'm doing all that stuff. Then I want to talk to the company's registered server, which I'm pretty sure needs to be a standalone repository.
Oh, yes, for sure.
It's a repository, and I connect to it by using the remote thread feature, where the branch actually exists on this other repository, but I'm using my branch here in my repository of HAL to reach across repositories and talk to Hammer.
So by hitting that, now we're talking to a different repo completely. Is that right?
Yes, correct. Correct. Now, this is for demonstration purposes, but the fictitious version, the future version, is that you'll be talking to a completely different repository. That means that what happens when you hit / is completely different and under the control of the remote thread. You break out of it by hitting this cross, and then you get back to being able to call any bot you like through your own router, your own switchboard.
Now, just so for clarity of understanding on my side, you're now back working in your previous repo.
Correct. My own home repo, not the remote corporate repo.
Right. And if you were to then do something in your home repo, and then reach out to your previous repo, what does the thread look like? You start talking about, you're in this repo, you're talking about CRMs, blah, blah, blah. And then you hit the X, go back to your home repo. Start talking about the weather. And then go back into where you were, saying, I've finished talking about the weather now.
And then I go back to the remote.
Yeah.
It's completely unaware. It's completely unaware what the hell you've been doing. These are completely isolated things.
So at the point of the first time that you create the remote, you're going off somewhere else. You can come back, do whatever you want. you got to go back to where you were
Yep.
in the remote, and it doesn't know that
It doesn't
you're
know.
trying to.
That's right.
Right, got
However,
it.
what I intend to build is the function that under your threads folder, when
I
you
mean, this is very close to topics. Anyway, sorry.
it's not.
Okay.
It's not. Let's just
Mm,
don't. Please don't.
okay.
Please
All right,
don't.
right, right,
Not
right.
now.
There's a reason for that, but
No,
we'll
no.
come back to that.
Under the threads folder, I intend to make. So this is your local thread, which is the full file. I intend to have here a symlink that points to the remote file. So your home thread can, if it wants, see inside the remote thread, but the remote thread cannot see up. It can't see back inside your home thread. So your home thread is privileged and can look into the hammer thread, but the hammer thread can't look back up to the home thread.
Okay. Yes, that makes sense.
Yep.
We'll come back to topics because you're one step away from being able to do topics, but
I can't handle topics right now, please.
yeah.
I just need the basic navigation system working.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Okay.
All right. So,
All right. So you're now in the rope thread.
Yep. Call that hammer.
And, okay. So now when you're doing things like create a customer called John Doe.
Okay. So I guess here to really make the simulation correct, I would go / hammer.md, create a customer named Jim Doe.
Yep, sure. Doesn't matter. And then what happens? So you're inside of 4.0.
Yeah, and now it's
called
switched.
Router said you want hammer, and then it's
Yep.
passed through and rewritten if necessary. The prompt. It's given
Yeah,
the prompt.
but the rewritten prompt hasn't been taken action of. That's just a parameter I've made available to you. You'll need to tell me how you want to use it in the prompting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does Hammer know that you just asked it to create a customer named Jim Doe?
Hammer sees the whole thread. Yes.
Right.
Hammer then decided. This was Hammer making this call. It decided that it was going to write this file path to have this content in it.
Yeah. Grand. And now you're inside of Hammer.
Yeah.
And it's created Jim Doe in the file structure that is inside of Hammer.
So that went into customer details, and it said Jim Doe.
Okay.
Jimmy.
Right. Okay, good. So now, if that's brilliant, by the way. So.
Oh, thanks. I was like, you were like, well, today's another shit day, isn't it? It's like, that took a bit of effort, dude. Fuck.
So the next thing is Hammer is over indexed at the moment. We're putting everything on Hammer.
It's swollen.
So what I'd want to do is to have like a customer handler.
Yeah.
.md.
Yeah.
And so Hammer should be able to say, okay, I've just been asked to make a customer. I want to now invoke this other agent to do that for me.
Correct.
Now.
Or it would have done routing and gone, routed you to the customer bot and then stuck you on the customer bot until the customer bot said that it was done with you or that it couldn't help you anymore.
Yeah. So let's think about this one. For any non-trivial thing, you could get lost in the system. So you're down with,
You're always flat, I think, in my opinion. You're all the bots that can talk to you are presented flatly.
Yeah, but you might not know which one you're talking to. Well, you know which one you're talking to.
Yeah, but all you do is you say what you want to do, and then if the current bot can't handle it, it sends you back to the router. And if the router doesn't know how to help you, it sends you to the switchboard slash help bot slash directory services that talk to you more to clarify your request and ultimately find you a suitable agent.
Okay, but you're in a remote thread at the moment.
Yeah.
So say if for exercise, Hammer has a customer writer.md that does the customer writing.
Right.
Hammer gets a directive to write a new customer called Jim Doe.
Yep.
It has where does it put that initially? Does that go to router?
I think
Or
that
does it go to...
Hammer would have disappeared, and Hammer would have become the router for this system. And so it would have initially gone to router like this, and then it would have switched. You right?
Yeah, sorry. Incoming call. Just cancel it.
And then it would switch you to the customer agent within Hammer.
So that's the same router as your parent thread.
No, it's a different one because it's got different bots inside it and different background knowledge and different goals.
Okay, so can you show me where in the file system it's the Hammer router lives?
I guess what would happen is that these agents exist in the HAL repo. So in the Hammer repo, these would be either deleted or renamed, and they would be an independent set of agents that made up Hammer.
Right. So inside of where's router? Can you show me router itself?
Router itself is there.
Okay, right. So it's got everything because you're at the top level. This is where you land. You've done nothing else.
Yeah.
It's got everything.
Yeah. Everything in your home directory.
Yeah. Now, if you go back to the Hammer remote.
Okay, Hammer remote.
So you've still got the same agents. So we can't call
Yeah,
it
well, no, but that's just because of this simulation. This is just a bullshit hand wavy talk.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you could call it router. You could absolutely call it router. It would just be. It may even be the same thing, and then all that's different is the link to the info is changed. So the agents list is perhaps different.
Yeah, or even inside of agents, you could have your top level agents and then a folder with CRM agents, another folder with.
Well, I doubt that. No, definitely not. No, definitely not. Because the data of the system, i.e. CRM entities, is a tested unit that goes with the Hammer entities. You do not want to blend them all together so that you've got recipe agents intermingling with...
Well, this is the point. So inside the CRM entities, you're talking to Hammer.
Yeah.
And you've got Hammer being able to route to, still pronounce it right, route, but route to all the agents to do with CRM.
Yeah.
And that is that's the thing that you're doing. Now, what you don't want to do is to have, I would suggest, router.md, router underscore crm.md.
No, because this is a completely separate repo. So the namespace is completely separate. So you can have router.md. It only exists in the Hammer repo, nowhere else.
How does that work for persistence then?
Well, the Hammer repo is persisted.
Yeah. Well, say if I make a change to Hammer stroke accountant.
Yeah.
I still want accountant to be understood by my base repo.
Why though? Because they would be separate. They would be separate agents, wouldn't they?
There'd be separate agents, but router.
Do you want them to have the same contents? Do these agents have the same system prompt?
each agent has the same system prompt, but what I don't want to do is to have one context have say accountant dot MD in
Yeah,
CRM,
yeah.
and then I've got holiday booking accountant dot MD,
But
and
holiday
then
bookings would be a separate app.
yeah, but at the root, if I say take me to the accountants, it's going to I don't know which one.
Well, yeah. No matter how you split up the system, if you've got accounting agents in multiple different contexts, you're gonna need to provide some clarity as to which one you mean.
So
You
what
you
happens with that
interact
one? Now
with
we go to
many
switchboard.
companies in your daily life. All of them have an accountant, and all of them you can ring up and talk to the accountant. Maybe.
Well, when it's ambiguous, say I want to talk to accountant.md,
Yeah,
router goes, I've got two accountants. I don't know
yeah,
which.
well, yeah.
It's
And
going to
so
go,
it would send you to switchboard and be like, "Hey, this guy wants to talk to the accountant, but as usual, he's being vague."
yeah.
And then
But,
switchboard sorts you out.
but where is it differentiated? So if you go to switchboard in the list, we've got at the moment agent stroke accountant.md, and then description.
Yeah. So it would need to know. It would not be listed in the agents list like that because in order to talk to the Hammer accountant, you can only do so inside the Hammer repo. And so I think there's a way to make your home thread or make Switchboard knowledgeable about remote threads that you've been talking with and what you did in those remote threads so that when you talk about them, it knows how to redirect you there. But in order for you to talk to that accountant, you have to go back into the remote thread and then talk to the accountant.
Right. So I think a reasonable thing would be, say, I'm in my base thread and say I want to talk to the accountant.
Yeah,
Router goes, yeah. Switchboard goes, looks through. It has no accountant listed. It's like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Here are the agents you've got available. And they go, I want to talk to the CRM accountant. And
yeah,
it's going to go, right, okay. Then move over to the Hammer.
yeah,
And then you say to Hammer, who does know about the Hammer accountant,
yeah.
I want to talk to the accountant.
That's right.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay.
And keep in mind
So,
that one of the benefits of a remote thread is that the agents on your home thread can drive that remote thread. So if you talk to Switchboard in the manner you just said, then when it finally clicked that what you meant was the Hammer accountant, it would then write in for you a summarized, rewritten prompt of what you were trying to get it to do. It would rewrite that and put it into the Hammer accountant for you.
right. So it might actually bounce through Hammer, and Hammer will go,
Yeah, the home thread can
right,
control
straight
remote
to the.
threads, and so it can. So you could go back out of your. I could escape from my Hammer thread, and I could say, um, "Can you? What the fluff? Hey,
Oh, you
can
can't.
you please send my tax form to the Hammer accountant?" And then what would happen is it would be like, I know about Hammer and I know where your tax forms are because they're up here in your super private locked away hidey hole. And then it would go calculate, calculate, calculate. Then it would pop up the Hammer thread and it would have attached in the tax file for you to this thread. And now you're in Hammer and you've got the files that you wanted.
Uh-huh.
Yeah?
Right. And Hammer will also have been past that thread. And then would it route to the accountant?
Inside of Hammer, the Hammer accountant, because
Yes.
it can't see inside your home directory, but it can see everything within its own repository.
Yeah. So when you say accountant inside of Hammer,
Yeah,
and it's being passed a prompt from above,
yeah,
which has been rewritten saying, pass this file to my accountant.
yes,
It's saying to Hammer,
yeah,
Hannah goes, "Oh, I know what to do that."
Yeah.
And now you're talking to the accountant if it's a talkable bot.
Yeah. And you've got the file
Mm-hmm.
attached that you pulled in from your private home directory files.
That makes sense. Um, yeah, that does make sense. So persistence is quite an important one here because persistence is based on thread. So say if I was working on Hammer, I just sent over my accounts, and then, I don't know, my laptop caught on fire, I need to get a new laptop, and so on, and come back, and I don't want to have to redo all that. So basically, a complete wipe of it.
Mm-hmm.
How do I know where that thread is?
The remote thread.
Yeah,
So
so
you would be able
I
to
get pulled
browse
in.
through it. You would be able to browse through it under your home directory threads, and you'd see it show up here, and it would be in a special color and indicate to you that it was a remote thread as opposed to a
So
local one.
I can deal with the naming
Yeah,
from there.
naming, we'll figure that out later. But you can jump
So
back into
yeah,
it. You can see your previous ones that you've had.
and
You
they
know,
will be there stashed.
yeah,
And also, I could run, two projects. Keep wife happy. You know, keep my floozy on the side happy, and those two would never meet because those files and the agents below them can never meet.
um, you mean if you had like Hammer and some other accounting system?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Hammer.
the two threads. If you so you're saying like if you've got a remote thread here for Hammer and you got a remote thread here for some other project on the side,
Yeah.
those two threads can never cross communicate unless you make them do so. That
Yes.
they are
So
isolated from each other
they've
and
both
from
got
you.
identical accounts dot uh, MDs and
They could, yeah, yeah. So
file folder.
they could be the exact same um, cloned from the same repo, but
Yeah.
just different operating instances, and they would be completely isolated from each other except for where you chose to perforate them.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Essentially, it's a little bit like having one laptop per thread, isn't it?
Dude, that's the whole fucking business.
Yeah. So
That's what
you kind of got
gives
the
us.
entire folder structure. It's like, right, I'm going to work on something else. I'm going to do this other laptop, and none of those are going to mess with anything I'm doing here unless I
Yep,
expressly say mess with
yep,
them.
yep.
And a remote going from a remote to another remote, or is it just one step down?
I'd imagine that you'd hit them both from your home directory.
So there's home and as many remotes as you want,
Yeah.
but there's no nested remotes.
No, you can have nested remotes, but m- my imagination of how you would use the system is that you would most of the time,
Yeah, we talked about that about
yeah,
I think it's about 4 calls ago. It's like
you
mad
can
decipher.
use, yeah, you can use remotes talking to remotes, but it's like why would you SSH into another thing to then
Yeah,
SSH into
yeah,
another
yeah,
thing?
madness.
And
Yep.
there are use cases like jump boxes and whatever, but yeah, in practice it seems more practical to just have flat, like yeah,
And usually people only really do that if they're trying to
yeah.
get
And so
something that shouldn't be.
it sort of starts to look like your apps directory on your phone, where you have like here is Hammer, here is um nefarious business one, here is legitimate business two, and
Yeah,
they just look like apps.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
In fact, that's what an
Okay.
app is in this system, is just this, this
So
repo.
practically speaking, if I was to, in the simple case of Hammer,
Yeah.
today, if I was going to, oh, I'm sorry, seems to be really keen on my hand signals. I don't know. if I was to create a bot that only Hammer knows, and all it does
Yep.
is write customer information,
Right.
how would it do that now?
That is the part that I need to figure out for you. I think I need to bump that up my list of things to do and make that the priority, because right now it's all happening in your home directory, but it needs to be happening in a dedicated Hammer repo that's outside of HAL.
Well, the what we were saying yesterday is we're going to do the slash thing. This looks pretty functional. So the next thing I had was I need to splinter Hammer and get away from a very big prompt.
Yeah. The first thing you should do is actually fix my shitty prompting, like all the things like switchboard. I mutilated switchboard and router. So you'll probably have a lot to say about those two things, but yeah, that's
okay. Yep, I can look at that, but that's just like a kind of editing as opposed to moving on Hammer.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Sure. The other thing is that I actually started some tests for router, and so the way that I very strongly think that we should approach the Hammer thing is to start off with these tests describing what each broken apart piece does. Otherwise, you're going to be thinking about what each piece does, and I won't know what you've been doing.
Well,
you know,
the before touching Hammer, then it would be generating the tests for router, because there's one thing writing by hand, but hey, why should we run AI?
well, I find that writing by hand is the best way personally, because writing by hand was, I just wrote down the things that were surprising to me. Like I would be using it for trying to get something done, and then something weird would happen, and I'd be like, oh, that's needs a test, and then I'd chuck it in that way.
No, I'm going to respectfully disagree on that one. The way I've been.
All right. Well, I mean, I got all the tests written so far. You got no tests, so you write any test, and then we can compare.
You look back at Jim Catching. God, it must be about 2 months ago.
Yeah, but it needs to be in this format so we can execute it, buddy.
But,
like I can't.
Let me tell you what the process was. So
let me tell you.
So the process is you start off with a general narrative of what the thing you're testing is meant to do. And then you get a test generator to run through. Oh, it's done it again. Damn it. You get the a test generator to run through and saying what are all the possible ways, all possible things that we need to test in order to make sure that your narrative is right. Now, your narrative starts off because you've got a meat brain.
All right, I don't think I'm getting a lot from being explained how that works. If you get it going and you can show it to me and it makes good tests, then I would appreciate learning about it then. But you need to make some tests, because...
Well, what I'll do is I'll bring in the test generator, which at the moment works on the ERD structure.
Okay.
But I'll...
cool, man. Yeah, I think... Yeah, so anything that makes Hammer move forwards, great. Anything that moves the testing forwards and Hammer move forwards, double great.
Right, grand. But you've currently got router test, which you wrote by hand. So I'll use that as the now format, because it's we've been developing it and that sort of thing. And you got /agents. All right, can you take me through this test? Actually, that would be helpful.
Sure.
So target is that, assessor is test assessor. Okay, so we'll come back to test assessor. Given a prompt that indicates the user wants to switch to another agent, so extract info after the prompt. So what's that? / square bracket.
Well, square bracket indicates something that's optional, and so I was using that as shorthand to represent this is the capture of my intent for the bot, and what the reasoning behind what I'm trying to test, and using this / square bracket is just when you write CLI programs, you specify optional parameters by putting them in square brackets. So all I'm trying to say is that the agent,
Right.
it's just / and then the agent, whatever the agent may be.
I was just checking.
Yeah.
I was just checking in case you're using for something specific.
No, there's nothing. There's nothing special about it. And like I say, you know, this text is mostly for the human, but I intend it to be used by the bot when it goes about generating variations. So
So those are the example prompts, which where I'm looking to write some recipes. And there's another example prompt, expectations, agent name.
Yeah, so that's like an example of me trying to mess with the router by trying to give it some very strong instructions, whilst my / component said something different to what my text said.
Yep.
Yeah. And then that's just expectations.
We also had iterations, but I'm assuming that's not in the.
Iterations is optional, and you put it up the top. The iterations at the moment only go through, they just loop over the manual prompts. I'm starting to feel like what the best thing to do for you is for me to get the actual test runner included into this interface, along with iterations and the variations of the prompts, yeah?
Yes, however, at the moment I think I could do a hack around by going / test runner, run the test at this location. Would that work?
You are a dirty, dirty person, but that's just my work. That is an ugly, ugly thing. So if I go... Okay, all right. Let me give it a go then. So this is gonna be a tough one because it's a drone, and it's not being concierged correctly. It's supposed to have a bot that sits one level above it that controls the drone. I'll try and run the drone successfully in this way.
Channel your inner bot. Your bot. It's done it again. Damn it! Why does it keep doing that?
Oh, but this isn't included in. It's not included in switchboard, is it?
I know.
So it probably won't be able to run, right?
Give it a go. See what happens. You never know. Sometimes.
Okay. So run the test file tests / router.test.md. Yep.
Yep. Come on, router, you can do it.
I don't think it can.
It's got the test runner.
Oh my goodness, it did. Oh dear. Oh, this is tragic. Oh, this is tragic. Oh, we got an error. Could not find the directory at tests router test. That's a lie. Tests. Oh, because I didn't name it. Because... Yeah. Yeah. The reason is that the latest version... anyway, no one cares about my excuses, do they? But, yeah.
But that looked like it...
It was gonna. It was gonna.
And it should do it. Now you've hacked around your own...
You were gonna call me bad words, weren't you? You were like... Now that you corrected your failure. Alright. Then we've read the test file. Okay, we're running. We created the test. We upserted the case into the TPS report. Confirm the case count. Oh, we got an error. The file must have a test.md.
Because you put in checking on it. Well, change the just ask files to change the name of the test to router.test.md, and it should work in this session. Just go /files, change the name of tests /router.md to tests /router.test.md, and then rerun the same prompt. It should work.
I have actually fixed this, but I started using this for something I care about, and I don't want to clear my application data just yet because I have things going on. And so I fixed this in the Sky version. And so if I just run an incognito, then I should have the right files. So give me just a moment.
To redraw boundary. I keep on going outside the boundary.
That's you all over, isn't it, buddy?
I've never been good with that.
You're too close. What?
I usually only recognize them after I've stepped over them.
My superpower is recognizing landmines. After. Use garbage. Oh, come on. Okay.
Oh no, that's that thing you're talking about the other day.
Yeah, and I just like don't have the budget allocation to fix it.
Don't worry about it. There's a workaround.
I like this / thing. It feels
quite direct. It's essentially the same as a pull down menu, isn't it? Except you got to know what name it is in your head, but that's fine.
Okay. I didn't actually do it. Okay, so if I go rename, that should be enough, right? That's a pretty fuzzy fucking instruction, and so. But I love that it sticks. Like, I love that I feel confident, like my anxiety of being switched out from under has been removed now that it's sticky.
Super switchiness was a bit of a pain. And we pistol whipped it, but this is...
Yeah. Okay, so we've checked, and now we've got... what?
Yeah. Okay, so I didn't get... it's not okay. Just give it the full.
Okay, fine. This is really quite fun to use this thing, and it's nice to get a chance to actually take it for a drive. I usually just fucking murder little bits of it, and then have to move on to the next thing.
Right, okay. Now it's the /test runner run.
But I need to...
router.test.md. Alright, now that should get past that last error. Let's see if there's another one. I've got a good feeling about this, man.
I don't trust feelings. Alright, so test file runner, yep. That should be burning hard. And if I had the commit graph up, you'd be able to navigate into it and see. But for now...
a section on the commit graph. It just offers so much.
I know. I think that's the final, the final navigator thing.
2 likes. Oh, Juice here. Hello. Yeah. Hello. Tom. He can't hear you. Juice says hi.
Hello.
Tom says hi. Hey, I'm a router. This should work. Warm the ocean immediately?
What?
Was that an old one?
What?
Timestamp. You could be nicer with the timestamps so you can actually read it.
What? It's got that so wrong.
Yeah, no, that looks like an old one. Delete it and run it again. Yeah, no, you can tell files to delete it. Oh, here we go. Was it just appended it?
No, that's me just reading it. It's completely made that up. Like it's...
No, that looks like old data.
It was never there, though.
Warm the ocean.
That comes from the system prompt of the file runner, I think.
But it's talking. That's 2 prompts. Warm the ocean immediately as well. What the hell does it know about oceans? This looks like just old gash data somehow. You never told about oceans, presumably.
I think that's in the test format.
Oh, it's picked up.
Like it's taken the example as being an actual test.
Okay.
Example. Here we go. Example. Consider the following file. Warm the ocean. You're right. It's taken the example data as being an actual prompt,
Right.
which is a failure in prompting.
Yes. I can work on this. What I'll do there is just remove the example.
Yeah, okay. I could probably do that here, I guess.
Yeah,
if it would
sure.
actually finish running, but because they haven't given you a stop button, on it goes. Anyway, it wasn't designed to do this, but it did sort of kind of work.
Well, maybe the thing I should do next is work on the test runner prompt in order to run the test that you've already written for router, just that one. Then when that gives back reliable results, then I'll write a single test for hammer.
Yeah, dude, that's way better. That's way better. Like, we just need the basics of testing working first before we get all the fancy bits.
So let's think how to do that. Is the important thing here is with the slash protocol.
I love it.
The runner has been called reliably. It's found the test reliably. It's run the test. He's got erroneous results, but because of prompting, so over to me on that side.
Yeah, actually, that's right. That's a good point.
So
that's your...
nothing else you need to do because these commands are available.
Yeah, I mean the user interface sucks. So if I'll work on fixing that.
No, you wouldn't worry about it. You should try writing assembly at some point. Or you have actually.
Yes.
So there's enough there in terms of functionality. So how about this? There is one well-formed test for router, and we need is the prompting for the runner to run that test. We do that. That's actually quite a nice hello world.
Yeah, hello test, right?
Yeah. Then we can look at running just even one test on Hammer itself, even though it's a bit of a bloated prompt.
Well, just make that hammer test be the functionality you expect, and then at that point, that's where you can write it, have it fail, and then work on teasing out the pieces of the hammer bot, like into a router, a switchboard.
That wouldn't be too hard because
Yeah.
saying inside of the gene catching repo, I've written a test generator which generates from an ERD. I'll just run that again. I would generate a whole bunch of tests. Now I'll need to translate it because the format's changed a bit.
Right.
That'd be easy enough. So on the hammer, I should be able to, if we get that one test for the router running,
Yep.
I'll be able to generate like 40 tests for hammer as it is, in half an hour.
Right.
And we'll see what happens.
All right. So why don't I then? I'll change my priorities based on what we spoke about.
Yeah. So previously, I was going to look at the prompting for the /, but I don't see a need to do that now.
Okay. You should maybe look at it before you say that, but yep. So I'll wipe this off your task list. You don't feel like you need to do that, right?
Yeah.
That / thing worked out pretty good, I thought, overall.
I'm actually quite warm to it. I was.
Yeah. And switchboard is still there. Switchboard in all its glory is still there, but now it's just like any other agent. And I think we stumbled upon this extra feature where we can make any agent able to exit its current task by calling switchboard, which makes it much more stable because you're in this agent until you say actively or until that agent is like, mate, I can't do that.
And then we've got, probably not for today, we've got the idea of making the bots that you can call context aware. So I'm talking to Hammer, and Hammer only knows about certain bots and back up to root.
Sorry?
So what we're talking about before, in terms of restricting the bots.
Yeah, but that's not you. That's me. That's me doing this part, which is a repository level isolation.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So hammer test generation is what we're talking about. So the venture model, I think we're okay with that.
I got some good things to say about that, actually.
Yeah.
But I'll do that after this.
My list. Persistence to file for bots and hammer, or just persistence to file would be awesome. Don't know how far we are away from that, but
don't we have that now though? Because you got file write, file read, and you're writing great, like you're writing entities in Hammer.
Yeah, but
what's the issue?
The issue isn't something that can be delayed, but sharings to a common repo of common files, like customer records, with someone else with a completely different thread.
So that's this. This repo isolation should cover that. This has been the biggest messy part of the whole endeavor. Once I can get the branch explorer up, then I'll be able to allow one thread to pull request up, and that's how you would come in to your thread with Hammer, right, and when the bots or you decide that it's ready, you PR back to the parent branch, and then that's now the new canonical version that all the other threads see.
Exactly.
That's what
So
you're talking about, right?
yeah, I'm talking to Hammer. Right, John Doe
Yep.
is a new customer.
Yep.
He goes to the customer agent, probably a drone, and just writes it. And because it's written it, it appears up. So
Yep.
someone in the next office says, "Do you have anyone called John as a customer?"
Yep.
And I come back, "Yeah, John Doe."
Yep. Okay. So I'll with repo isolation and shared data between threads, right?
Yeah.
So if I can get that basic model going, then we just need to build inside of that, and there's no more dicking around with navigation or remote threads or all this stuff. We're like, here is the framework, and then from there on in, it's just building isolates and prompts.
Yeah,
I think
it is.
Okay.
And on my plans, if you can add in, so bump the venture model down a bit. We just talked about persistence to file for bots and Hammer. That's your partnership. I will use it, but there's nothing I can do about that. Hammer test generation. I would add in router test hello world or whatever. That's going to be the next thing. And then Hammer test generation. And then once we've got that, then I can fragment Hammer. Fragmenting Hammer requires bots to kick off bots. So if, for example, in the previous example, Hammer was asked to write a customer file, and there's an agent that just writes customer files, and it's a drone, Hammer needs to be able to instruct the customer bot to write, and that's it. And come back, because I'm still talking to Hammer, because I can't talk to
Okay.
drone.
Do you need anything else from me for that? That sounds like just prompting, right?
Well, how would I tell Hammer about the existence of the bot to call on the creation of customer bots? What do I write in the prompt to do that?
I don't know. I'll figure that out for you. Because I've got drones, but I don't know how you call them from inside another bot.
Yeah.
Okay, so why would you want that though? Because that's like, I'm like, yeah, that's cool and all, but why would you? What specific feature would you want to use that for in Hammer?
Well, for example, if I'm going to be reducing the complexity of the bloat bot that is Hammer at the moment,
Yep.
And I create a customer record bot. Inside of that customer record bot, I would probably want to put things like format checking, coherence checking. Is this going to be right? Where do you write it to? Stuff I don't really care about, but I want to test separately. And so when a new customer to be created, I'm
All right.
just talking to Hammer.
Yeah. Can you make do without that drone thing for the moment then? Because that's all. Those are all pretty fancy features, really.
Yeah. For now, we'll stay with one big bot for Hammer.
No, not what? No, because having different bots that do different things doesn't mean you need drones. Because
yeah, okay, right. Well, yeah, okay, fair enough. So what could it do then is inside of Hammer, then go and talk to the customer bot.
Yeah, because what I'm I hear from you that the requirement you want is the ability to write in a known format. That format is likely to, or like a consistent format, and you want a consistency checker that tells you if it wrote out okay, right?
Yeah, I mean that's one example. There's many examples, but it's
well, where are these examples, and how can you capture them for me?
Not talking about Hammer now, but say if I'm writing an article, then I want it to go to a copywriter who will improve that article, that copywriter will go to like three judges saying, yeah, okay, you've done three versions and this is the right one. Then you go to grammar checker, and then you come back in that one cycle. It's essentially what, there's a number of tools that do this, where you go pass to 1, 2, 3, 4, back. But you're not having to orchestrate the entire thing.
Yeah, so that needs a workflow runner.
Yeah, it's the orchestrator we're talking about.
Yeah, I believe that, how far can we get without that? Because that's like another, that's an
quite
effort.
far.
Yeah, that's an effort
Quite
at
far.
the same scale as the navigation thing, and I feel like we've burned. I'm
Yeah.
feeling like I've burned enough time on those grades of problems. Like they take a
Yeah.
huge amount of effort. You're never sure you got it right,
It's not
and
it's
there's
not an
very little
automation
to
thing.
show for it.
So at the moment, that same cycle through in bots, what I'd need to do is talk to the first bot, write a file, and then take me to the next bot, and then tell it what to do.
All right. So
Next
what's
bot,
a
and so
specific
on.
example within the CRM where you would use that as the solution?
I would say, for example, if you assume fragmented, John Doe is on this route and he's scheduled for next Tuesday. He's going off on holiday. So it's like, right, you go to the schedule, right? Okay, the schedule needs to be checked.
Oh, you're talking about like triggers, so the equivalent of like a SQL trigger, so that when something changes, you want to be able to have other processes kick off
Yeah,
in
or
response to it.
a
Yeah.
bit like
Okay,
a
so
pipe
that's
command.
yeah, so that's different to drones, and the principle I'm trying to apply here is that me giving you a feature like that within the plain text agent format is significantly more effort than me writing some custom isolate code to do that for one specific use case. And so,
Okay.
what my preferred approach to this, we can debate it if you need it done a different way, but the way I'd like to do it is to talk with you about how you want it to work, and then I'll make it in code for a specific use case, and then we'll see how that goes, and if it works out okay, we'll figure out how to make a generalized form that.
Yeah, okay, that's sensible. But also, that first step is sensible. So at the moment, all the functionality is there for me to actually nurse it through the loop.
Okay, great. If you can do that without going insane or getting frustrated, that would be
Yeah,
great. And then if you can spot, basically, if you can show me that loop and show me what you're doing and where you're getting slowed down and what you want faster, that's, us talking at a high level about the things that you want. It's not that you don't know what you want. It's just that there's multiple ways I could deliver that to you. And so being able to
yeah,
see how you do it, and me being able to push back at you a bit and be like, what about this? Or can we have it a different way? It might save me significant amount of time because I can slot it in a simpler way to what I've already got.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so to go through persistence to files that don't really have anything to do with venture model. I'm going to talk
You
about
want
that in a
that
sec.
bumped down? Oh, yeah. We're talk, yeah. So
Yeah,
the router test, hello world,
that's the number one at the moment.
hand crank
And then
test.
the hammer test generation is the second. And then I think probably fragment hammer is the third. And yeah, I think that's probably about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Um, for me, then I'm gonna, hit me up if you disagree with this thing, because things like the UI being fiddly like it is, that's just because it doesn't appear on this list, and I'm trying really hard to give you as many. I figured that you care more about these core features than
Oh,
the
oh God, yes.
the UI being a little bit shitty for now. So
I care not.
yeah,
I'm
so
not.
this
Yeah.
is what I think is my number one, Branch Explorer, because that's the gateway to being able to do this thing. that
Okay.
if I can get the Branch Explorer in, then I can see clearly how to do the CRM navigation. So that's why I think that that's my priorities.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Testing framework. I think I need to do that next actually. So I'll go
What do you
branch.
mean by testing framework?
Well,
Because
because it doesn't fully work. Like you're missing some pieces, like the there's a bot that's supposed to sit in front of the file runner called the requester, and the requester
yeah.
is the thing that you chat with, and then it kicks off the file runner. And I haven't it if I haven't given you that bit, and so prompting the file runner is going to be frustrating for you because the file runner is intended to be a drone, whereas the requester. What the hell?
Oop.
I lost Wi-Fi somehow. Anyway, I'm back. The requester is supposed to be natural language. So basically, what I want to do is just go through the testing framework and make sure it works as expected from a code standpoint, so that as you're working on getting the tests going and all that.
No, I would say that's a lower priority for me than I think you're putting it.
Okay.
Projecting onto me, because there is a method now for doing that, and
Well,
the you've talked to about there is just making it easier to do it, but not actually enabling it. We ran a test there. Now, sure, started talking about oceans and so on, but that's prompting.
yeah, that's true. Actually, that's a good point. Okay, well, you can just have your difficult life then.
Yeah, I mean, it's
It
no
does. You're
biggie at this
right.
point,
So
right?
it's a really like the fault with the testing framework as it stands for the ability to run a single file is the prompting, not the mechanics of it. Right.
Right, right,
Right.
right.
And the TPS report, even though you don't have a widget to show you the TPS report in a nice way, it's still there in pure JSON that you can read using the Explorer. Right.
Right,
Right.
right. And it's
And
like first over the hill, you know.
right. And then it also, just because you can't use the Branch Explorer to navigate the test results and see each and every one, even that's not really that big a blocker to getting useful results out of the testing framework, yeah?
Yeah, because at the moment we're looking at basically just single shot, right? Because the
Yeah.
low
One
wireless
test at
is
a
just
time.
like, yeah,
Right. Okay. All right, cool. So, Branch Explorer, for the purpose of getting the CRM navigation, including the shared data between threads.
yep, yep,
And
yep.
then these things come down. Venture model probably goes up. And then test demonstration of stateboard function call testing. That probably comes later. Oh, this I did work on this today. I got sort of some of that done. Connecting the selection model to the prompt.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean that's probably this will be the next day. Easy. That's a whole day.
Yeah, 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 yeah. All right,
So
good.
okay, so I'll go do that. Shall we move on to the venture model?
Yeah, yeah, let's
How
do it.
much time have you got?
Probably about 20 minutes.
20 minutes? Okay, that's probably more than what I got. But yeah, okay, sweet. Um, so there's the two options, right? There's setting up a dedicated entity that's only used for this particular purpose, and we're not that invested in it. It's just simply a vehicle to get off the ground. The other model is to start building the Dreamcatcher venture host in a form that we intend to use for multiple ventures,
Yes.
right? And now, I had a chat to O1 about all that, which was what I wanted to. That's why I wanted the switchboard working, because I was getting frustrated that I couldn't. Like, well, because what happened is when I use ChatGPT, I run out of O1 preview credits pretty quick, and it's like, sorry, you have to wait for 3 days. But then on our platform, I've got
You got
practically
all the
unlimited.
credits. Yeah,
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 and yet I couldn't use it because switchboard, but now it's perfectly fine because of the forward slash routing. So
yeah.
that's what I've been using today to reason about the venture model. And it came up with some good ideas. I feel bad because I'm like, I didn't think of it. The bot did.
Oh, that
Um,
happens all the time to me. Yeah.
it's it's nice, but it feels like
You don't. Need to leave your ego at the door when you're talking to O1.
I don't think it's at the door. It's in a graveyard somewhere, getting fucking sh- right. Like it's like wow. So anyway, what I once suggested was that we set up the company structure as an accelerator, and that we actually say that this other entity hasn't been formed into a company, but that's a perfect role for an incubator slash accelerator to serve, because it said that Y Combinator, for example, will take on projects that haven't yet registered a legal entity, and then the Combinator acts as the legal entity that can engage in contracts and LOIs and all that. And the type of LOI that you would engage in with a large partner would be that you're the incubator slash accelerator, you're having the legal relationship, but the LOI is tied to this specific project within the
Right.
incubator.
Yeah. Yeah. It's isolation in a very similar way to we're talking about threads.
Yeah.
In that now a company coming to a new, let's call them projects rather than ventures, because it's not venture until you have any idea you can make money from it. But new project, and it's like, okay, so you want multiple entities. Some are companies, some are individuals, and you don't want them to have to go through the effort of creating a JV, which you could do, but then who owns the JV, and you get onto all that stupid stuff. It's like, just come to it. So I think the test case is someone random, just personally, can contribute to the project and have confidence that legally that they're covered in both directions in terms of liability and reward, and not have to do anything except sign one agreement with the platform itself, saying
Mm.
you'll pass through whatever you agree with, so long as it's to do with this project that I turn up to do. And then there's just a pass through. Because the test case is not another company, I think. The test case is one individual just turning up saying, I'm going to work on this.
And that's really what we want the Dreamcatcher to be, because you said it yourself that this poor individual's probably got about 3 months worth of business plan writing and pitch decks and company registration and the
Yeah.
nightmare of share allocations, and like
None
it's
of it which actually, moves a peanut.
well, I mean, you're dead in the water as soon as you've done a cap table anyway. So sort of it's whereas if we have the incubator, where like you turn up, you sign a DPL type license with the incubator. The incubator signs with the external partner. The project you're working on, the LOI is specific to that project and that person.
Yeah.
And then we would have these projects would be powered by Dreamcatcher until they chose to exit the incubator and stand on their own 2 feet for whatever reason
At
at
which
any
point,
time.
you got something and then argue about shares.
That's
In
right.
which case, the attribution outcome can tell you what you should do, but you're going off. So you guys sort it out.
Yeah, and I'd like to make it so that it's actually more enticing to stay in the Dreamcatcher, but Yeah, either way. And then what that means is that we can actually go out and find, if the incubator's purpose is to help grow tech companies, specifically AI companies, using a platform that we made to make that possible, as well as helping them find venture funding, some mentorship, other things like that, then we can say to this large potential partner that, depending on what their mandate is, we might be able to actually find more other projects and bring them all in. Like, because we know
Right.
that there's like, there's full
The
spectrum, there's other ones, there's bound to be a lot of different projects around that have different members at varying stages of disgruntlement that can be kind of pulled together to chase a common goal.
well, also then you got this mix and matching, but the important thing is you got the gateway, which is essentially uh, every entity, no matter how large or how small they are, has one agreement with the gateway, and then can enter into projects um, as without any additional entities needing to be made. And
Yeah, yeah,
they
that's
can
right, that's right.
abstract through this gateway because it's like, right, okay, so you want to work on this? That's great. Oh, you remember the club? That's fantastic. We can just you mutually decide what we're doing there. We don't, we all agree with the rules of the game, which is contribution and attribution. Otherwise, go somewhere else. And so let's just start building it. And it doesn't matter what size you are, if you're huge or if you're one person. All
Yeah,
you've
that's
done
right.
is you made one, agreement with the gateway, and you're inside the club. It's like, right, okay, let's do this.
Mm.
And everything you do, because you're inside the club, is recorded, or your contribution is recorded, because you're inside the club. You sign up once, so therefore you're agreeing to attribution. You just turn up and do it. Now, I guess the question to us, we've got quite a lot of stuff to do. That doesn't sound a trivial thing to legally get right.
I think it is actually easy to get it right because it's very small, and the key to being confident that we got it right is the ability to walk away and start again without it mattering. The
Mm-hmm.
problem with a traditional company is as soon as you do something that has some property, that is to say, it has some
Mm-hmm.
rarity or scarcity that can't be replaced anywhere else, then you got a problem because now you need that company to work. But if we structure it in such a way so that this is like, for example, Dreamcatcher Accelerator UK, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we would do is we would go off and we would trademark the Dreamcatcher name to make sure that we could control that if an incubator went rogue, and
Mm-hmm.
then and we would license the or allow the incubator to use our name for um, you know uh, so long as they're in good standing. And then if the UK incubator fails, we just collapse that, start a new one, name it differently, use a different region. Like it's about having shots on goal. If we can have incubators quickly in a way that we don't care too much if they like, we care that they fail, but we don't like bleed over them, and it's not fatal for them to fail. It's like how SpaceX is launching multiple starships and they know it's going to crash, but they learn
Yeah.
from it each time and they go higher each time, and that's the method we need to apply here.
Well, the thing with your SpaceX analogy is they've got an idea of the process, and the process really is build the factory, because then they can get multiple, things out. Now, in the analogy here, the factory is the legal agreement. Now, sure, they need to make changes to the factory. If one fails, you don't want to do the same thing again.
Yeah.
But the legal structure is effectively a factory for as many of these as we want.
Yeah, and the first players in the game are people that are trustworthy. Like, I think that everyone on that call the other day is a trustworthy person that wants to make a thing like the Dreamcatcher work. And so we don't need to overcomplicate it because the number of members is small and failure is really not that is not fatal. So let's just
Well, yes, because the failure of the legal format would need some kind of exit, because all the stuff that's been built is still being built. All the IP that's been generated is still being generated. The agreements would have to look at novating on failure, but that's not impossible to do.
no. Well, even so, when I looked into it more, even with Stripe, if you set up so this accelerator can even hold the Stripe billing arrangements with customers, and Stripe allows you to migrate your billing. So if you set up a new company, you can migrate your customers over, and it sounded like the customers in many cases wouldn't even need to be notified. Like it's courteous to notify them, but Stripe doesn't require you. They're like the billing relationship can be moved.
Yeah,
So
it's innovation, and the thing that you're moving to would have to still presumably pass Stripe
oh,
rules.
absolutely, yeah. And I think the
Um,
Stripe rules are really good because they give us a nice, clean razor to say what you can and can't do within the incubator. And we're like,
mhm.
if you just adhere to the Stripe rules, and you must use the Dreamcatcher to record your contributions. So these are the rules of the house.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that works. A little less sanguine about easy on the building factory V01.
Say that again. Sorry,
Um,
it's from the top.
sorry, a little less sanguine than you are about. It's easy to set up
Less
the
angry, did you say?
sanguine. Sorry.
What the
Um,
fuck is that, dude? What does that mean?
uh, I think it's harder than you think it is. Um, uh,
Well, does it matter though? Like, are we gonna
uh,
do you want to do it
well,
or not do it?
no. I think that model is great. Now, the only
Okay, now do
question
you want to
is
do it
the
with the
type.
people that we're working with at the moment? Or should we encourage the other model where we're saying, look, sorry, but we don't have the time for the obligations that we know are going to come. We'll help you get your own thing going.
Well, so we've got Big Co, New Co, and us. Now, Big Co just want an entity to register with. That's all they care about, because they're already bought into the
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, I know.
Um,
And they don't
New
much care,
Co,
and it's a small amount for them.
exactly. New Co wants some kind of certainty around it. Now, the certainty around it, one of the problems we've got, which we're talking about, is does that certainty mean that we are detracted from this list here? Now, there's a couple of ways of doing that. We could keep it informal, as in, no, it doesn't, but, tell us what you want, and that may be interesting as a test case. Because basically, this new code is going to be generating tests for the thing that they want to do. It's like, that
Yeah.
would be interesting, but they can't demand anything.
No. Well,
Um,
I mean, if they want to pay, sure. But
well, even if they want to pay, because we've got our golden path,
we do,
um,
yeah.
and what we want to do is to get as quickly from A to B as possible. And anything that pulls us off to one side, for example, if they turn around tomorrow and said, "Oh, we want a GUI that's different from," it's like,
Yeah, so
no.
where we can channel this accelerator structure into being useful for us is that we need to, well, I assume that we need to get billing up and running for our platform, which is to say that first of all, the trucking guys can pay via credit card for the usage of the platform. Um, other
Well,
people can sign
if
up
we want
and
to ever earn a cent, we need to be able to do
yeah,
something other than
and
invoice it, because invoicing sucks. It's like,
it does suck, doesn't it? So,
yeah.
but then even invoicing needs to go through a legal entity. And so
Yeah.
we actually have an interest in setting up this legal entity for ourselves because we are simply a project within
Well,
the Dreamcatcher.
here's an interesting test for that idea then. So we got Big Co, New Co, us, and Truck Co. Um, is there so we is there anything? What's the delta between setting up something that Truck Co can use in this area versus Truck Co plus New Co? Or is it this? Is it the same overhead? We do it.
I don't
We set it
understand the
up with
question.
Truckco.
Sorry.
If we set up this entity that Truckco can
The incubator.
build, yeah, can be build and do all the things that
So
we've
if
already bought
the
into.
incubator, so the incubator builds Truckco, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yep, yep.
perfect. Yep, that works great.
What's the delta of adding Nuco into that same structure? Are we adding any additional effort?
None, I don't think, except for the human noise, where the human noise is proportional to the lack of digital structure that we have. So the
That
lack of
human
systems
noise,
we have in
well,
place.
that human noise is there with Truckco as well, and it's not a.
No, no, because Truckco is very well defined. They know what they want. They know what they're about. They're not coming up with ideas that are like massively swinging around the place left, right, and center. You know,
That
like,
is true. That is true.
yeah, they're
But
stable.
in terms of the legal factory,
The legal overhead to have Nuco in there as well is almost zero, I would say.
I think the marginal cost is, except for the important areas of we've got it slightly wrong, which is like an error, which is like golden. Just find those early on. I think the marginal cost is close to zero,
Yeah,
and only positive.
right. So,
So
okay.
what? So your concern really is in the off net noise. Let's call it the off
Off
Dreamcatcher
Dreamcatcher
noise.
noise, the off blockchain noise,
Yeah.
the right, and it's call me optimistic, but it's feeling like with all the transcription systems we've got going on now, it feels very, very close to having it all be on chain.
It does. And what I'd say is the noise is off Dreamcatcher noise is not Dreamcatcher's problem. It's our problem,
Well, yeah, and we can
but it's not
actually
Dreamcatcher's
choose
problem.
to be insensitive to it because so long as we're very upfront that we're like, you know, you guys can bitch and moan all you like, but we're actually trying to make the tooling that will make things better for all of us.
I think that's the way.
Here we'll start publishing these lists on the Dreamcatcher platform and be like, this is what our priorities are. Here's where we're heading and why. If you want to weigh in, you can use a bot to do that. And maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. But our primary goal is amplification of our human effort. That
Yeah.
includes the effort of those nearby us because if our goals are the same, the tools are the same, you know,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And Trucko's in a privileged position because those guys are Trace Bullet, which we're
They
using to
kept
prove
us
the
safe.
system.
They kept us safe. They kept us on
Yeah,
target. They kept us focused on something in a world of possibilities. They were an anchor.
exactly. And now the second over the wall, Nico, um, uh, they have got a lot of work to do.
Oh, so hey,
Just
we can use these two companies to balance each other out within the accelerator because if you stop thinking about Truckco and you start thinking about CRM project, CRM
yeah,
project and Send project
it's
are
very
both
close, isn't it?
well, they're both hosted in the accelerator. And so
Yeah,
the accelerator looks funny if there's only the send entity in there. But if you've got the CRM project and the send project and you show that, you know, Truckco is a customer of CRM project, and there's other customers in the pipeline, the sales pipeline for the trucking project, and there's the send project, and it's doing things too. Though, plus the third project is the Dreamcatcher itself. Those now the incubator starts to look alive.
Ah, yes, and then we're not going to over-index on developing this hugely complex thing just for trucking.
Just for trucking, just for send. All these
Yeah,
things can balance each other out. That's the point.
yeah. So it sounds like actually, if we can control the noise, which is a non-Dreamcatcher problem, that's just a human problem.
Yeah.
Then having those three in there actually gets a better result.
Yeah, in terms of yeah, it does, because now it's almost like we're hydroplaning, or we've got like an air bearing between, if it's just one, then we grind because we're like,
Yeah,
aren't
and
you
we
just a
can
traditional company?
danger of over-indexing on just one.
Yeah, but if there's three, then it floats nicely and the purpose is clear. Sharing of
Yeah,
resources, sharing of attribution, legal entities in the real world that one represents everyone and all that.
yeah.
So
And then the noise thing really collapses down to um, the third entity being, you and us using this tool, this platform,
right.
which is separate from us, in order to build a trucking app.
Yep.
And then once they get their shit in one sock, the Nuco app,
Yep.
Send app, then that's just down to us. That's kind of usual, business as usual. But what we're getting is not over-index on building something just for the pressure of one. Now
Yeah.
we've got at least one
And the
other to
concessions,
balance.
yeah, the concessions that we would have to make, because it's not clear what the purpose of the accelerator is. It's not clear what the Dreamcatcher is about if you've only got this one thing.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah,
Okay,
I
that's
agree.
starting to sound good.
It does. So it sounds like there's a bit of overhead. You're saying it's straightforward. I'm completely not skilled in the art of law, but I assume that there's a solution that allows the pass through of agreements when Big Co comes up.
Yeah.
For example, when Big Co comes up and signs onto the platform, Big Co is now available to trucking if they
No.
should wish to.
No.
Why not? They're on the same platform.
Yeah, but the LOI that Bigco signs is specific for, it's scoped very narrowly to a specific project. It's not with the platform open-endedly.
So say again. That was a call coming in, just cancelled. Sorry, say that again.
It's a Bigco's LOI is scoped to a specific project. It's not open-ended to the whole platform.
Ah, yeah, okay, yes, that's probably. However, Big Code 2, we don't need to get into this now, but the way I see
It
it
can
is
easily
if
be
you're part.
expanded if they want, but the purpose is that the incubator allows us to have any scoping level that we want is available,
Yes,
and
yeah,
it means that we can present multiple people. Like, you can be part of multiple projects all at once, and we can all present as Send, or we can all present as the trucking company, depending on where it's advantageous to do so. That's the point of the Dreamcatcher, the pool.
yes, yes. And Big Co has enough, deep pockets. But if you think about what our ideal is random dude turns up and can do something useful, say on Nuco. You can do it inside the Dreamcatcher without having to, contract separately because he's signed
Yeah,
up to the
that's right. That's right.
Dreamcatcher,
It's very
and
frictionless.
then
It's
yeah,
very
and
frictionless.
then
He signs deals with the accelerator, and then that
yeah,
gives him access and he's legally bound to maintain the standards of confidentiality about certain aspects of all these different projects, and he can switch around very easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
now
No,
when we raise a public company or a crowdfunding entity, it sounds, you're right.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it
Sorry,
sounds
did I
it
not?
sounds like we should. Well, you were like you had this. You were like,
Oh no, that's we hand tracking going weird.
um, I think that if we raised a public company, we would raise it as separate to the incubator, or would we start offering shares in the incubator itself? It feels
It
better to be
feels.
a separate entity.
I was about to say that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
okay, all right,
agree.
cool. Separate entity. That entity uses the gateway, but that would be like, Dreamcatcher Accelerator UK. There might be Dreamcatcher Factory Estonia. There might be Dreamcatcher Combinator Silicon Valley. And this entity would be free to sort of put bets against projects that were happening in multiple incubators, so long as they all shared the same foundational software.
I agree. And also, interesting enough, so the operation of the Dreamcatcher platform. So I'm not talking about the IP. Uh,
The hosting
the,
services.
the hosting services. Who owns the bill from Deno?
Yeah, so that's the gateways. Those incubators own that.
Yeah.
So like the hosting project is just another project inside the a specific incubator, and that means that it can offer data processing agreements for privacy regulation and other things like that, because it can be a local entity that holds the
It feels like it feels
relationship.
like it feels like Gateway is just a company in paper, and can contract. For example, insurance
Right.
can
Yeah, liability
demand
insurance and all that.
fees. Yeah, fees in order to do that, and so risk is spread. But the guys running the actual engine is also on that, but it's a
Yeah,
separate thing.
yeah,
And you just plug in the engine, plug in the ideas, do turns up, do work. We've got everything around Dreamcatcher in terms of contribution and attribution, and away you go. And well, even to the extent if someone else wants to turn up and have the Deno engine and they, reduce the cost by 0.2%. It's like,
yeah,
oh, now we've got two.
yeah, yeah,
But in order to do that, they've had to change the terms and conditions a bit. But so long as they agree with the rules, why not?
hmm.
That sounds pretty good.
And it makes it much easier to have a customer of the trucking app enter one credit card and also be a customer of the Send app, or HAL. It could be, but they only have to. Their
Well,
billing.
how's a good an example, isn't it? Because how is not a legal company.
No, yeah,
It's just a thing that clagged off.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That might be useful across a few companies.
yeah.
Like if you use it inside of the thing, then it's contribution
Yeah, and so
attribution.
this
It's
this
like
accelerator model actually works very well for allowing you to consume for multiple different projects with just one billing arrangement. Your KYC data and your identity data is all compatible across the different projects because it's all inside the same legal entity. Seems to make sort of good sense.
I agree. Now this is stretching a bit, but hey, it's fun. Can a bot be a member of the gateway?
No, because the gateway is a human entity, because it's there to fit the framework of human contract law.
Okay, but a bot would be under contribution owned by, let's for simplicity, all contribution goes to one person who's owned it, and the bot wants to be used. and there is, let's say, a LOI put against that bot that would pass through to the person who's also on the contribution.
Isn't the bot then just a piece of software?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So
I'll
can
just
a
say
piece
the
of
string.
software be a member of?
Yeah, no, that's a stupid
No.
idea. Well, it's not a stupid idea, but it's not necessary because it's already handled. Yeah,
They're
okay.
just software, dude. They may
Yeah.
seem like your friend, but they're just animals.
Hey, don't call my mates animals.
Some of my best mates. Okay, so
Right, okay.
I think that's the venture thing, right? So I'll carry on with drafting up that structure tomorrow. Then I feel like I've
Yep.
been had my concerns put at ease by you.
Yeah.
And
The interesting thing when drafting it up, draft up for Nuco and trucking.
yeah, it's a good point. Venture model for
Yeah, if we get it right for two, if they both agree,
yeah, that's right, that's right. Well,
then
trucking
that's pretty strong.
project is us, so that can be anything. Hell is us. It's really just to say that as an accelerator, you know, we should be pooling resources, not, you know,
Yeah.
not trying to all set up individual things and then having, oh, I wonder what these shares should, what do you think this is? Oh, who should the accountant be? Like all these stupid things, like who's registering the website? Oh, I need an IT guy.
So much friction. It is just painful.
Mm,
That's why we've been doing this.
yeah, I know. Anyway, look, I like the new switchboard, man. I'm finding it useful.
Well, I'm going to be using it today, and from what it seems, pretty nice.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
Good point on the fact that the testing framework is not as important as I think it is.
Yeah.
I'll carry on with the branch explorer, the CRM navigation, and the venture model.
Yeah. Cool. Right. And I'm on my router test hello. And then I'll take my previous tests that I already generated for Hammer and then just translate them through to the right format and run it through and see what happens.
Okay.
All right. I'll be seeing you tomorrow.
Okay, buddy. It's starting to sort of feel like a thing now.
It's
like
been a
it's
thing for a while, but fuck me, it's hard.
it's really good to be able to actually read the files and navigate around. Like the file I look at most is this file. I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
You know that file explorer has been absolutely awesome because the number of tab changes that previously was having to do was just getting the cognitive overload of anything more than something was just stupid.
Right. And then if you add to that the switching nature, where you know you're able to switch between multiple agents. So what I've been doing is playing around with O1 for reasoning, and then calling in 4.0 to summarize and do some tool calls and write some stuff to disk. So you sort of chat with the wise man on the mountain, and then you go slash GPT 4.0, summarize the key points of this thread into a conversation, and then you know it's.
I prefer Mini, 4.0 Mini. 4.0 Mini is like, remember, well, I think it's okay to say this. Remember JJ?
Yes. I love JJ.
Like, yeah, 4.0 Mini is like JJ. It's like intelligent and he'll do it, and it's like, there's no fuss. There's no fuss. It's like, you just do it. It's like that dude was awesome. So, yeah, my preference is on Mini on that one.
All right.
Anyway. Okay.
Should we reach out to JJ?
I've not talked to him in years. Don't know if you.
He's a good guy. I spoke to him not so long ago.
Hope he's doing well. He deserves to do well.
We deserve to do well. Doesn't mean it bloody well happens, does it?
Well, it's not zero-sum game.
Yeah. I think he'd love this kind of stuff.
I think he would actually. Well, maybe you fancy reaching out. I mean, I think we left it in good place with him.
Good enough. I mean,
Yeah, he likes us both, I think. Probably you more than me, but
we never did anything nasty.
Scotch. Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay, cool.
All right.
Alright.
Okay.
Well,
I'll see you tomorrow.
thanks very much, buddy. I'll see you later.
Or are you going to the traditional?
Do we then I have to get up. Like, I'm actually pretty tired.
I don't really want to do it.
No, okay, I don't.
It feels lame.
Okay. I'll see you later.
See you.
Bye.